Yes, it's very important that we are very conscious of hurdles. It's hard to give all the details because there are a lot of cultures. So what's offensive in Morocco might not be offensive in Lebanon. If you have a Muslim who was raised in Marseille, France, they might not be offended by some things the French do because he was raised there. He maybe feels more French than anything else. On the other hand, you might do the same activity, in Iran, and they might get offended. Generally, though, Islam looks down on alcohol, although Morocco and Turkey, they consume alcohol and they allow. So each country is different. But usually, when I'm inviting them for a meal, I try not to have alcohol, just out of respect, in case there are people who don't drink. Although we're finding that they're okay with it in different places. But it's better to be that way. The second one is pork. Muhammad said that pork is evil and borrowed it from the Jewish religion, that you don't eat pork. So many times I watch what I have over. When we invite, my wife maybe makes a salad, maybe with some cheese, feta cheese, but we try to not have pork products. We also, if I cook, it's usually we put on the grill something, maybe chicken or lamb. It's important to even tell them, hey, this is chicken, because sometimes they might not know what's in the meat. So these are the first two things if you're having hospitality. I like inviting them over a cup of tea or coffee because it's not a big commitment on their part to say, hey, come, let's have coffee. Come, let's have tea. It's cultural. That's number one. The second thing I would encourage people to do is when you talk to people from outside Europe and outside America, time is not very important. So when you talk to them, don't look at your watch. Don't make them feel like, So many times when we have people over, I always tell my wife, okay, she's American, my wife, so she tends to be conscious of time. And I say, okay, we're going to give ourselves 5 hours, 6 hours. Let's not do anything. Just have them over. We're going to have coffee, some cookies, or if we're going to cook, and just leave it open. One of our alumni of our training was serving in Afghanistan. And the first thing he did when he met the teacher in the school there that he was working with, they would sit to have tea together once a day, because there's a coffee break or a tea break. He would take his watch in front of him. The moment he sit down, take his watch. And he said that made such an impact because the other Americans and Europeans, they always had looked at their watch, so he felt like, I'm a project, but it was important way image. So that's one thing we recommend, that people don't make it too time conscious. Just relax. As I always say, relax and enjoy the journey. God is using you with that person. Enjoy the journey. Whether it's an hour conversation or 5 hours, just enjoy it and don't be so much conscious. So the food product is important. The environment is important. The other thing we should avoid doing is argumentative spirit. We answer the question. We answer, even if you want to say the theological argument. But we should not have an argumentative spirit. Because if I'm always arguing, the Muslim friend of mine, the Muslim neighbor or acquaintance, every time he sees me, he's going to say, I don't want to talk to Fouad. He's going to argue with me. So it's better to create this environment where, hey, we can disagree. Usually I always say something like, hey friend, it's okay. We might not agree on this, but it's okay. We can talk about it later. And avoid creating a spirit of arguing. There's a beautiful story in the Bible about Jesus. It says there was a rich man who came and said to him, Master, what should I do to inherit the kingdom? Now the question is rude, because what do you do to inherit? You do nothing. You have to be born in that family. So the question is rude. And the text says that Jesus looked at him and loved him. What does that mean? That Jesus looked at him and respected him and cared for him. Although he's being rude, everybody listening knew that this guy's being rude to the teacher, to the master. But with that response, we learn the same thing. We need to be a people who would not create an argument. Just listen to the question, maybe you disagree, say, I think I disagree with you on who Christ is or salvation. but we can talk about it later. And that creates an environment. So we want to avoid the spirit of arguing.